Hi, Michelle.
Hello, how is everyone?
$1,000, which is really not bad at all compared to what we've had to lay out over a 4-year period. And like I said, hopefully it'll all get done before 2022 if the city approves everything, right? It's through with the contracts, et cetera.
Is that like a normal amount per month to spend?
No, it's all over,
$50,000?
it's all over the place. Depends on what we're paying. If we have to pay contributions to the health plan, it could run maybe every 3 months, $100,000.
So,
We don't have the same fixed, we have the same fixed usually expenses, pretty much the same every month. But then we have, during the year, we pay into the health plan, we pay into the pension plan. So some months could be 300,000. If we don't meet during the month for some reason, and we didn't approve payment of the bills, then we do it, then you would have 2 months together.
So this is a typical,
No, this is probably kind of low, I would think.
I don't know.
You figure if I'll budget again, I'm just gonna use easy numbers. If we budget, say, a little over $2 million, you divide that by 12, you know, it comes to really what, 80,000 a month, 80, 90. You know, if you just take some, real close, rough numbers. So, but we probably never hit 80. It's usually below or above. And in most cases, it's quite a bit below, or some months quite a bit above. All I have to say.
Okay. Building and grounds. Dennis.
Oh, hold on. He's on again. Mr. McCarthy's on.
Mr. McCarthy, can you hear us?
I can now. Yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay. Okay, you want to go with Jim now?
The question was, do we do the correspondence out in public?
I don't think there's any reason not to.
Okay.
No, he's saying just do it in regular session, so just, he's saying do it now, just in regular
Okay,
session.
let's do it right now.
This is not an employment issue that would require rice notice.
No.
Correct. So Marilyn, you can do the correspondence. Do you want me to read it or, oh, anyone you want me to start with first or no? Okay. We had one letter that, from the Teamsters Union that was discussing two issues. Dear Director Curvis, I'm writing, this is from the Teamster President, Fred Potter. I'm writing to discuss with you two issues of great concern to the Teamsters Local Union 469 and our members, and seek your help in correcting the situation. First, on March 3rd, 2021, maintenance worker Tony Sislak was working outside on the flower beds when he was approached by former Library Board Member Diane Wilverding. Ms. Wilverding admonished Mr. Sislek's work and attempted to redirect his work. Mr. Sislek advised Mrs. Wilverding that he is working as directed and doing what he was told to do by the library director and the library board. It is our understanding that Ms. Wilverding's improper direction of the staff has been an issue while she was an active board member, and that she had in the past received a letter from the library's attorney that she is not to direct staff. It is clear that that letter did not have the intended effect and that additional corrective action is needed. Second, in the subsequent board meeting, the issue of Ms. Wilverding's continued direct contact with employees was raised, and the board discussed sending another letter to correct Ms. Wilverding's improper behavior. During that discussion, board member Dr. Milena Bergenhammer said on record, maybe he is doing a crappy job, referring to Mr. Sislak. Dr. Berghammer's comments in public session regarding Mr. Sislak's work performance are in violation of Mr. Sislak's rights under NJSA 10:4-12 and Rice v. Union County Regional High School Board of Education, Appellate Division 1977. The union requests that the board take swift action to educate the current and former board members and correct the situation so that the rights of the workers and the public stop being violated. We are available to discuss this matter further at your convenience should you require additional information. Thank you for your attention and consideration in this matter.
So let me, and again, for those who can't see, this is James McCarthy, Board Attorney. Let me comment on initially the first part of that letter from Mr. Potter. And I can tell you that I did follow up with a letter to Ms. Wilverding, who I can see on the call. Hi, Diane, how are you? And then to her credit, she got my letter and proactively called me within just a day or two of the letter. And I can tell you, I have every confidence that her intention was nothing other than legitimate, sincere concern for the library and its grounds. She did not intend, in my opinion, to do anything out of bounds. She didn't intend to step on anybody's toes. She acknowledged receipt of our letter from a month or so ago. She acknowledged receipt of our letter from a year ago. And to be fair to her, she acknowledged our conversation a year ago, and both conversations were nothing but 100% friendly and professional. I have every confidence and expectation going forward that that she'll participate in these meetings, which we've invited her to do, instead of directing library staff either as a former board member or as a member, as a citizen, a member of the community, because those directions are left to their superiors in the proper hierarchical protocol. So she acknowledged that. Again, Diane, and I would certainly invite her to speak to for herself, but I have every confidence that she did nothing intentionally wrong or improper in any way, shape, or form. Her intention was very above board, with nothing other than a concern for the library and the maintenance of its grounds. But I certainly would invite anyone else to chime in, and certainly including Diane. Diane, you're muted. We can't hear you.
They're muted.
I also would like to respond. Of course, I got all the different stuff, and I would like this to be put on the, I'm going to do my research and respond to what was written about me.
Ms. Wilverding, do you want to speak at this moment?
Am I allowed to now or later on?
Do you want her to respond now or wait for public comment? Yeah, they said to go ahead. You can speak now.
Okay, is that Teresa?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi, Teresa. I can only see the one side. I happened to be picking up a book when I found Tony was working outside. And as the people that have been on the board for a long time, Bobby and Marilyn and Dennis, they know that I worked on keeping the gardens upkeep. In fact, Bobby and Dorothea helped with the ROTC kids. And I have a background and I take care of my own garden and all. And as a taxpayer, even when I see a county park not being taken care of, I call people because that's my right as a taxpayer. And I happened to just go there to pick up a book and he was there and he was literally digging out the perennials. Now, a lot of money was spent on those gardens right by the door and then in front of the railing for the new people that, are not familiar with it. And it needs to be maintained. And at one point when we had,
Diane, I'm gonna jump in, and I'm so sorry for interrupting, and we said you had an opportunity to speak, and we're gonna give that to you. I'm just jumping in out of an abundance of caution. And I'm gonna explain that. So what I would ask is for any comments about any worker performance be held, okay? Because those are the things that we would need to have conversations about in an executive session, okay? So we would certainly very much invite and welcome your comments on any library issue, and specifically as it relates to maintenance, but communication about a certain employee's performance, I would ask you to hold that because that has to be properly noticed to that particular employee in advance to
yeah,
give him or her an opportunity to come and speak for his or herself and perhaps waive that private session. So, I apologize for interrupting you. I would just ask if you would extend that courtesy. That would be wonderful.
yeah, I wasn't mentioning any staff name. I was just saying in the past, the DPW helped with maintaining the front because when I came to pick up the book, I saw that nothing was being weeded. The plants were just being pulled out. And they're very expensive. And I know, like I said, the 3 board members worked on maintaining it. And that upsets me because I know how expensive these perennials are. And to me, that wasn't weeding, that was destroying. So I was giving suggestions because that's my background, gardening.
Tell her she can't.
I can't hear that. What, Marilyn?
No, we're just discussing that as per your discussion with the lawyer, that even as a board member or a member of the public, you should be directing that towards the board at the board meeting or call the board president or the director.
Okay, I do have a question though. I haven't seen, and maybe I'm not finding it on the website. Where are the minutes from the previous meetings?
That I can answer. We're actually in the middle of updating the website, and hopefully sometime this month, everything is going to be up and running with all the meeting minutes and everything on the new site. The whole website is being redesigned.
Okay, because I couldn't find any, and this is my first time doing Zoom. I haven't even been to, the council meetings to do it that way. But as Marilyn would know, I love that library and I just love that garden and worked hard with the ROTC kids. And, if there are people that don't know, have a gardening background, it's okay to ask for advice. And we are allowed to have volunteers, but I just innocently came upon this as I'm picking up a book. I didn't purposely go and say, oh, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And I gave advice. That's what I gave.
Thank you.
But I just want to see that library maintained well. I don't want to see the gardens destroyed.
Can I make a suggestion? Since Ms. Wolverton has a passion with gardening, why don't we have a gardening club at the library? She obviously has a input in how she likes the garden around I've seen her garden at her own house. She maintains a well garden. And there's new people coming into Linden from the city. They don't know how to garden. I think they would welcome to be able to do a gardening club. And then we wouldn't have the confrontation of her having to.
Or using your kids too.
Yeah. Welcome those kids from schools to come join the club.
Well, we have no clubs right now, but
Yeah, but
in the future, perhaps.
I think that's a great idea.
so there isn't a confrontation anymore about gardening.
Well, there's only one problem is that you can't take away the work of a union.
Well, no,
Right.
you would think, you would have them come and garden, but you still have to work on maintain it.
And of course, the gardening club would answer to the director.
Yeah, or,
I think it's a great idea. Right?
Hopefully for next year or in the fall.
yeah, obviously after the pandemic.
You just
I
signed
look
this
forward to
thing.
that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead, Ms. Wilberding.
I don't feel that I was interfering with work because they've got a lot to do inside. They have grass to cut, they got leaves, they got the snow removal. In Cranford, the DPW takes care of the outside, and in Berkeley Heights, they don't even have a janitor. The DPW comes early in the morning, cleans up their library, and so they don't have anyone on staff. And that's what happened. I don't know if you remember, Mrs. Yamakaitis, when Dan, as I was saying, when Dan Frank was head of DPW, they just did that gardening area, which is a lot of work. It's a lot of weeding. And, I don't think they're happy about doing it. So why not have someone that knows what they're doing? There's still plenty of work to do, Teresa, in that maintaining that big building, plenty of stuff to do.
Know that.
Thank you. We'll pass that message along to the union.
Councilwoman, Council President Yamakaitis has talked to me in the past about getting help from the city with this, and she can feel free to add in, but the last I heard was they have their backlog too. They have a lot going on as well. So, but that's certainly been discussed in the past.
Okay, I spoke to Jerry Bishop. They had 2 employees trained by Rutgers, and they are gonna offer their assistants to come there. But I do think we need to offer more programs at the library, and I think a gardening club would be a great asset to the city. Like Mr. Yamakaitis said, we have a lot of people moving from New York that lived in apartments. They don't know anything about gardening. And if you have somebody like Miss Wolverding who's got a background in this, she'd be an asset to teach people. I know I don't even let my husband go with the weed whacker. He kills everything in my gardens. So believe me, if I had the time, I would sign up for something like that to go and learn something as well. So I think that would probably, be a win-win for everybody around.
Okay. Dr. Berghammer, did you want to discuss the other part of the letter from the Teamsters?
I would do it in executive.
It's not an
There is no
executive,
executive
it's
session.
not an executive session issue.
Well, I am not going to discuss it here, because bottom line is, what I would say right now, if it's stuff to the public, bottom line is, I did not direct to any individual person. When I said maybe they were doing a crappy job. All right, this is what I said. I did not identify any individual. And obviously I was correct, because this is what Diane said. They were doing a crappy job. That is why she interceded into what was going on. I wasn't there. She stopped. If somebody stopped to correct an individual, obviously what they're doing, it has to be wrong by somebody stopping to correct them from doing one thing when they should be doing something else.
I wouldn't say obviously. You're making a big assumption there, and you're exacerbating the problem in the original letter. So
I have listened. Diane just said it. He was doing something completely wrong. This is
in
why the
her
lawyer stopped
opinion,
him. Yeah, but this is why the lawyer
in
stopped.
her opinion,
I have listened. I am going to do my research and I will respond. Okay?
This has been going on a very, very long time. I want the new members to understand that. This has been going on for 10 years, at least. Okay. Now, that means that anybody here could go up to Columbia Bank and go in and complain about their lawn or their flowers.
not just complain about the lawn, tell
Come
the,
on.
But that's a private company. This is taxpayer stuff. It is different.
It's a public
but it's taxpayer. And any taxpayer could come up and see somebody in the taxpayer building and make a comment. In a private organization, it is difficult.
Look, it's very nice to have a nice lawn and to keep it very nice. But more important is the inside of the library and the employees.
We're talking now about the outside. Okay, listen, we all know Diane, all right? And we know Diane loved gardening, as Mr. Yamakaki said. She loved that. She loved it. When she was the president, all she talked about is gardening. We all knew that. Bottom line is that, and this is what I said the last time, and I will say it again. I think he made a good recommendation. The library belongs to the people of Linden. And we need to find ways for the people of Linden to be more involved in what's going on in the library and outside the library.
Okay, so I think the takeaway though, and I think what's important for everybody to understand is that if there's any issues with anything on the library, it has to go to the library director or the board, okay? And any comments about any library employee performance in any way, shape, or form has to be preceded by a rice notice. That's the takeaway. That's the takeaway from the letter from the union, and that's the takeaway from the letter to Ms. Wilverding, okay? So I recognize the importance of maintaining a library and the grounds, but the takeaway are those two things.
That's it for correspondence.
That's it?
That was it.
Okay. So now we go to building and grounds. You wanna? Because we, gonna give out the committees, but Dennis is gonna have to do this.
Well, there's information about the construction bond in the packet, which is, it'll be due in a few months. Not committed to anything, but there are quotes in for the request for tiles instead of carpets, which is considerably more expensive. So I assume everybody looked at it.
We did. I'm sure everybody did it. Again, I believe that we should, when we, as the librarian, as guardians of the library, and I do not think the lawyer would agree with me, when we have any type of project that I think that is over $50,000, we should have multiple bids from multiple companies. And we don't have it here. In this, we need to have about 3 or 4 bids from different companies.
Yes,
And
and
the
it hasn't come in yet. It has, you had to put a resolution out.
All right.
That is why the resolution is in the packet now that it's signed.
I am preparing what I didn't, but I was supposed to bring one, but we need to get the resolution.
It's already done. It's in the packet.
All right, but we need to have 3 to 4 companies. There's 3 to 4 companies.
We're aware of that.
It's, you needed the resolution. Now
We
it's
have
signed.
a, we have
Well, you're not
a,
gonna do the whole library one time anyway, aren't you gonna do one for it?
It all
depends
depends.
what we can get.
Because I think that'll be the easiest way to do it.
We should try to get whatever we can because we don't know if there will be another construction bond. So,
Part of, I don't know how much you read of the construction bond. Carpeting and flooring is covered, but only in the areas that the grant covers. So for instance, if we're going to be able to do the second floor, but update all the technology, change things around, like some ideas that Dennis had for more private study areas, all that carpeting can be changed and that'll be part of the grant. But if it's not part of the grant, then we would have to pay for it ourselves, and then that would go with the city with the capital funding.
So we're gonna wait to see if we get different bids, as you said, from the resolution, different bids from different companies. I know we have companies that work within or we have approved companies, but we also have other companies out there, and if their bid is less,
But they have to follow certain
they still
laws
have
and
to follow,
regulations.
yes. You know, they have to follow laws and regulations, but at the end of the day, 129,000, 99,000, they all are a lot of money. And because of that, I think not only should we get these companies, but each company should give us 3 different grades of what they can use and the price of what grades cost. And then we could make a determination what is in the best interest. and also the life expectancy of whatever we're using. Because whatever we're using should have a life expectancy of at least 20 to 30 years.
I think the problem with life expectancy is what carpeting tile looks like. It's easy to say something's gonna last 20 or 30 years. Like these rugs here, okay, what are they down now? 12
10,
years?
11, about
10,
11 years.
I'm sure if you have somebody come in, you're gonna say life expectancy, this is at least another 10 years. What happens with carpet, especially with carpet, it gets stained, goes out of style, etc. The life expectancy of the carpet could be 30 years. I mean, it's very hard to wear out a good, good grade piece of carpet. What happens is it gets stained, or maybe a little area gets a little bit worn. So I think, when you talk about something that's gonna last 25 or 30 years, it will last, but it doesn't mean it's gonna look good.
You're right.
Again, it's what you get what you pay for. Now, I mentioned to Teresa, and again, it all depends on how much money you get from the grants. If need be, I mean, we do have 3 floors here. To me, the most important floor is the first floor. And if you only have enough money from the grant to do the first floor, now, it seems like mostly everything upstairs here, there's a lot of, and again, I know Teresa and Dennis are getting mad at me. It's a lot of employee roads. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you were short on money, you don't do these for another
I'm not gonna
5
get
years.
mad at
You know
you.
what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna get mad at you.
I mean, there are ways that you can save money. You don't have to do everything at one time.
No, we can't.
We would prioritize. We'll see what we can get.
But does the staff use the machine to wash once a little while, or they hire a company to come and wash?
They do it on a routine, regular basis. They do a regular steam cleaning. And then they also, over the COVID, we got the machines in from the city and we did all them as much as we can. And we brought in also spot vacs so they can work on specific stains. And the stuff is too far gone. Like they tried, they did it 2 or 3 times, but the stains are there permanently.
So we would agree that carpet, the life expectancy is about 30 years. The life expectancy of tiles is 100 years. So also maintenance of tiles may be less than maintenance of carpet.
I would disagree that the tile.
And it depends, because hospitals have the tiles and they last over 100 years.
This is a library now.
I know, it's just that, also, as you say, we have to clean it. So that's another, after you pay all this money, you also have to pay for maintenance.
That's the
Maintenance,
breakdown?
you're already paying the maintenance man, basically.
Yes.
So
Yeah, they're
you're
doing
not
it.
paying any labor fee. You wind up paying for it because you have to go out and buy some chemicals and stuff. But it's not really costing you, there's no labor fee. It's already built in because you have the man on staff.
I get calls all the time from companies asking to do our cleaning. I said we have in-house people, so what we don't do in-house, the city often helps us, as Council President Yamakaitis mentioned. So there is cooperation. So we really very rarely have to go outside. Either they send people to help or they lend us equipment. So
The other thing, and I put in the packets, you gave that to them, the acoustics. There's information on the acoustics and the different flooring.
Yes, I saw that.
So the tile, even the LVT, it's the tile that you're talking about that can be more soundproofed. That's part of why the labor rate was 20,000 more than the carpet, because it's putting the tile down with the underlay that'll help with the sound, costs more money than just laying the tiles. But even the best tile, the sound absorption, the airborne sound transmission, and the impact sound transmission of the best tile still doesn't come close to the rating of carpet. So you're gonna have the sound that carries from floor to floor.
Yeah, but you can also get rugs over it. The thing is, though, you could get tiles, and then you could get rugs where people walk on in certain areas, in heavy traffic areas. But,
That doesn't,
rugs.
yeah.
No matter what, this is a big building, it's gonna cost a lot of money, no matter what we do.
I'd be concerned about rugs as a trip hazard too.
All I'm saying is that, You said that we're gonna get a resolution, so we're gonna get it from 3, 4.
Resolution's in here.
All right,
Resolution's in there.
and then we're gonna get it from 3, 4 companies.
As many as.
As many as we can.
It's the law. We have to get over a certain, over a certain amount, we have to get multiple bids. So we're
And
not
is-
breaking the law.
And are you gonna see if you can get some of these companies, if possible, to come and make a presentation if they can?
They don't do that. They send
I'm
quotes.
just asking.
They
Some of
send
them do.
quotes.
Yeah, we just send it out to bid.
Yeah, some of them do because it's a big job. So that we ourselves know exactly what, I know we read all of this, if they send people in. If they're willing to, what do you guys think?
I would rather than send a quote.
You just rather they send the.
Standard to do quotes.
But do we know how much money we get from the grant?
No,
There's no way to
the
tell.
process didn't even start yet.
Is there a
So
max
maybe
they
we should
give,
do,
or
we
is
should check.
there a limit they can give, or is there?
No, this round, this is the second round of the New Jersey State Library construction bond. They earmarked $125 million. And it's, then it's broken down to either building renovations or just improvements. And the building renovation gets a little bit more money put aside for that, but it also, you have to put your grant together. Each project that you want to do inside the library is going to have to be separate grants. And from there, we submit it, and they, as it applies to the 4 standards that they're looking for, is how they're going to approve it. And then it's matching funds. And I know that, I believe Mrs. Copland and Mayor Armstead had already discussed it, and they were interested in it. So there's a question and answer coming up. We have a few questions to find out exactly, how much we can put in for, what we can bundle, and we'll give you the update after that meeting.
I think it's the first you're getting the grant and then you can put the project on. Then you can,
Oh, there's nothing that's gonna happen until the grant is approved. If the grant is not approved, then we're not doing anything. Then,
That's what I'm saying, maybe we
Yeah.
should first check if we're gonna get any money and then, and then get the glory.
But the thing is,
Well, we wouldn't get the form until we get the
It'd be
money.
very expensive on other
well,
way.
with grant, you have to tell them what project you're gonna be working. on.
exactly.
So,
So-
do you know how much the last time we replaced the carpet, how much it cost?
It wasn't replaced.
It was never replaced.
The building came, and it came like one big price
It
tag.
came in- So this is the first time it's being
Yes,
replaced, huh?
and you got 10 years out of it. I mean, in some spots, you could probably go another 5 years. But whenever you run any kind of a business, there's a lot of people, and staff, customers, et cetera. You get 10, 12 years out of a carpet, that's a lot.
We opened July
Yeah,
of
but if
2010,
it's-
and we had this carpeting down,
But
so.
if you spend $20,000 more and you could get an additional 15 years out of
Yeah.
it is better.
I don't think spending $20,000 more in carpet, you're gonna get another
I
15
didn't
years.
say carpet, I mean a good tile, and you get another 15
Well,
years.
that's a different story we talked about with salmon. I think we're getting ahead of
Yeah,
ourselves here.
we have to see
Yeah,
the grants.
yeah,
and
we
see.
can-
Did you send, how many bids did you send out?
We
None yet.
Have you done it yet?
had to do the
Yeah, we have
RFP.
the list.
Now, once the
Now the
RFP, that's gonna
resolution.
go on the website, and we're gonna advertise in the different newspapers and put that out to bid, just like the city does. So,
So we'll wait until we see what happens in the
Yes.
next
The
meeting.
only-
We'll, progress with it.
The only numbers we have are from the
Okay.
city company, so that's all we
Alright.
could do, so.
yeah, just to clarify that this was the city's vendor that they used, that did all their flooring at City Hall.
There's nothing we can do until we get the right bid.
Yes.
So we have to wait for the grant amount and the different bids,
Well,
basically.
The grant amount is based on what we asked for,
Oh,
so.
so we have to say, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna, you'll hire an architect who's gonna do the preliminary stuff. We'll come up with a number, and he's gonna say it's gonna cost us $1.2 million. It'll go before the board saying, okay, this is what we're asking for. But it has to have matching funds, so that goes working with the city. I've already been in touch with Mrs. Zach, so everybody knows what's going on. And if the board says yes, and the city says yes, they match the funds, then we go ahead with everything.
If not, then that's it.
okay.
And if they come up with a $5,000 quote, I wish, $5 million quote, and the city says, no, we're not gonna cover that, then it's so, so.
I think Roselle Park got 3 million last year, or Roselle?
Roselle got a lot, yeah.
Yeah, they got like 3 million in Roselle.
It's gonna be expensive no matter what you do.
Nothing's cheap.
Weren't they gonna move the Roselle building into that new complex that they were building?
Yes.
Is that still?
They're not open yet, right? No, they're still not open.
No,
All
it's
right,
still
are
no-
we finished with this
You are.
building and grounds? Okay. Personnel, anything?
Under unfinished business, the contracts.
Yeah, that's under unfinished, that's still to come.
Nothing? Policy? Nothing, okay. And we go to the director's report.
All right. Some of this has already been covered. In addition to the already discussed items on the construction bond, we are considering getting computers. The public computers, the city actually generously gave us a number of computers for the public 7 years ago, which they're still running, but they are definitely considered past the end of life, as are the staff computers. The laptops, which we got from a Gates grant back in 2010, that's over 10 years old now, so those are way past the end of life. So batteries don't actually work very well. Thank you.
Good. Yes. Let there be light.
Laptops aren't even necessarily desirable. A lot of people like tablets. So updating those systems are another thing we're considering for the bond. Let's see. We have staff members have been taking online classes for their skill set, and we have been training new employees so that everybody's on the same page. The library now has digital access to Linden's local newspaper titles, books about the history of Linden, and the Linden High School signatures. Site is open to everyone, so no library card is needed. It's on our homepage under Explore and then Local Archives. You can get to it, or it's also, the link is in your report. Project was financed by grants from the Union County Cultural and Heritage Committee, our Friends of the Library Group, an anonymous donor, and the work was completed by Senior Librarian Elizabeth Historic. I know that she's been working on this for several years now, so we have a lot of these materials, and it's good that we can make them easily available. For some borrower statistics, since the last board meeting, we had 1,222 checkouts, 39 new borrowers, and for online borrower registration, that's 13. And that's it.
That's it? Okay, under unfinished business. We should have had nominating committee in January, but because of the COVID, nobody showed. So I think now that the new members are here and getting used to everything, I think maybe by next month, we could have nominating committees, okay? All right with that? Okay.
Could I ask what committees are there?
I can't hear you.
What committees are there?
What committees are there, Dan asked? What committees? You got a financial committee?
You have financial, you have personnel, building and grounds, and policy.
Policy.
And those committee, I did that with you.
Yes.
Yeah, we did that.
There has been a fundraising committee also in the past, but it was inactive, so.
But since we have the, Dawn Viviano
The Friends.
is head of the,
Friends.
Friends, we don't really need a fundraising because they're doing it. So we just have 4, that's it. Okay? So that, the assignment committee members, they should be coming out. Union contracts,
The MOAs that were in the last
they're in
meeting,
here.
they're in here, so you need to vote for them.
So you're gonna put the committee assignments off to next month?
Yeah.
Okay.
And are you still planning on coming up with like a couple of bullet points about each committee, so we kind of know what we might be better qualified for?
Sure, did you do that?
That
or-
wasn't
I thought that was in there. Was that not in there? I thought that was in the packet.
Did I miss that? I don't think.
I might have missed
I don't think I saw that. I saw everything else.
Okay. I did
Yes,
miss that.
I can definitely.
This way, instead of working on a committee, we're not suited for it all.
Do you want a quick rundown? Because there's only 4.
Finances, paying the bills, reporting to the city, they usually get involved with the budget hearings.
Once a year.
Yes. Buildings and grounds is self-explanatory. It's the building itself and the outside, giving reports on what we're doing. Policy is the main focus of the library board, and, looking at what the policies are and updating them as needed and removing out-of-date policies. What's the 4th one?
Personnel?
Personnel, yes, that's dealing with the staff, hiring, terminations, discipline.
I know that Dan is probably used to committees and the way board meetings run, but I don't know if all the other new members have ever been on and how, so it's a little bit different because we're so small
That's one of them.
and informal. Usually if it's, if there's any issues that the director has, for example, with personnel, he would reach out to the board president, who would then get the personnel committee together so they can discuss the issue before the board meeting. Same thing with policy. We have a policy manual and a procedural manual. And it's up to the board to go through the policies. The director would let you know that certain policies need to be updated, and then you make decisions based on the recommendations of, of the director. So you don't really meet
No,
any more. You just get other information unless there's a issue like with personnel where you would have to come in and meet with the unions.
I thought I put it in there. I thought I put it in there, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the committees are meet as needed, so you don't necessarily, personnel is the big one, because it's,
None of them are life threatening,
I mean, unfortunately, personnel, if the personnel committee is involved, it's usually something
except for the law.
negative.
Except for the draft of the leads. Okay. The union contract. This one here, a memorandum of agreement. We need to take a vote on the union contract. Okay?
Can I say something about that contract?
Yeah.
Okay, first, I think we should see, at least I should see the contract, the previous contract, and when I compare what you're asking for, it's basically the city employees don't get that stuff. So basically, the library is being funded by the city, taxpayer money, so at least, if you want to be fair, you should have the same contract.
What things?
Well, the part-time employees. City employees, any city part-time employees don't get any vacations.
Oh, we've always had that, and that's never going to go back.
Yeah, that's already been approved in past contracts, that's not added to
It's
this.
not added, that's just the way it is.
Well, I don't know why you could say that, because you're just putting the changes here.
No,
The
they're just,
contract.
I'm sorry, they're just making a change?
Yeah, that's why I'm like
No, it's just
questioning,
the
because
personal
there
day
is.
was the only thing that was being added. Okay, then you have your contract.
There's the vacation here. part-time, the vacation on the bottom here. Part-time employees follow the same time frame, but the hours are prorated. No. Where was that? I know there was something added to it, that the part-time employees getting vacations.
They've already had vacations, that's,
One vacation day was on credited to the following.
they've already had vacations, that's not added, that's nothing new.
Yes, but not the part-time employees.
They've already had vacation, that's not something we're adding in this vacation, it may be qualified, but it's not something new.
Yeah, but you
I
working
think
on
that,
the
I think the
new
issue what she's
contract.
talking about is that now you're with the white collar workers in the city hall, they're not getting that, and so that would be an issue with their contract now, that you're giving that to them, and they're not.
Well, but we're independent from the city, so we don't have to.
It's the same union.
No, it's not, it's
No,
different.
I'm just saying that the
No,
library
it's
is
not the same.
funded by the city. So basically, if you want to go, saying like you said on the previous meeting, that you want whatever the city is, city employees getting, for the new contract, that same percentage you are asking. So basically, you're asking for the same as the city employees have. And basically, if you want to work on this contract, you should have the same thing as the city employees have.
This is a totally independent agency. We have in the past just followed what the city did as far as money, but it's always been an independent contract. I mean, it's not, it's going to be different hours of work, it's going to be different, everything. It's still independent, it's still autonomous. So we get the money, but still, city can't come in and just, legally, we are considered autonomous.
I have a question, if I can speak right now. Is your clerical in the same bargaining unit as the city?
No.
No.
Okay, because we had an issue with another department that was autonomous, and they were in the same bargaining unit as the city, and civil service came back and said they should mirror exactly what the city has.
No, we're not, and the whole thing about doing what the city does, that historically, and correct me if I'm wrong, was more out of like convenience and fairness. Even when, the unions actually took less than the city did in the last time because we were so behind in settling the contracts, but it was just historically, the board approved the same rate as what the city did, but we already have a completely different contract. And it's not the same bargaining unit.
Okay, but still, if we supposed to work on the new contract, that doesn't mean that you have to carry over whatever you had previously.
Well, it's
You
already
can
been,
negotiate.
It's
actually
already been
already been
agreed to,
negotiated.
so then you have to renegotiate the entire contract.
it was Mrs. Copland and,
I don't think we have to follow exactly what the city does.
no, but you worked on the last
You were on
negotiations.
We met about 3 times
Oh,
before
I
over
remember
this.
that. Because don't forget, it was 4 years we didn't give the employees raises.
And that's the reason why, because when we were working on the last, I was part of it. It's because of the fact you guys didn't get raises for 4 years.
Right.
So we were more focusing on making sure that the employees get the raises. So there's certain stuff we didn't focus on, like stuff like this, that we know, because you remember, there was so much stuff going on when the employees didn't get the raises and back pay and all of that. So now we're looking at these other things that are included now that we may have missed the last time, because we
But
were
this
focusing on other things.
These are things that were negotiated long before I was even director. I mean, vacations for part-timers has been as far as I can remember. So if you're just gonna take it away,
Didn't renegotiate the contract.
well, I don't see why we would.
Is that what I guess the board's intention is to take away from
Okay,
the,
if you want to say,
why we didn't know anything about it at the previous meeting? You just told me basically at the previous meeting that we agreed that you're gonna negotiate, but you didn't say what you're gonna negotiate.
That was in the
That was
con,
in-
that was
in the
in, that- I'm
packet.
sorry, that was in the packet. This was in the packet. This was in, this was in the packet. The fact that nobody read it is irrelevant, but this was in last month's packet. That's why I asked you to vote on it.
Can we renegotiate? I understand it was in, but the question that
It was
he's asking, and we are all asking, can it be
It was
renegotiated?
already negotiated, and this was the memorandum of agreement that's already been signed by the negotiation committee.
I mean, you approved the president months ago to do the negotiations on behalf of the board, which has always been the case. She did this, and now you're just,
Problem is half the board is this.
Half the board is new.
so you don't feel that the staff should get anything.
So I remember saying at the
Every,
last.
every governmental organization is tightening their belts. And
This is not giving them more, though. This is taking away something they've already had, which I, again, I don't see the point of it. I mean, this is not something that's in the new contract. This is something that's carried over from the old contract.
Well, if for
The
sake of
negotiate-
argument, the white collar workers at the city hall don't get a raise, then our employees won't be getting a raise.
Yeah, the mentality has always been, because the library's always been treated as the black sheep of the city, and that at the very least, that we should all get the same amount of money. And as far as the rest of the contract concerned, it's not comparable. We have different shifts. It's a different work environment. We're open to the public, which City Hall really, it's not going to have the same traffic. It's a different work environment. It's like the same thing if you said, well, the school should be the same. Well, the schools are different from the City Hall. The schools are different from the library.
I understand what you're saying, different schedules. City employees also work on different schedules, and we have different unions, and basically, the policy goes for every union, not just one or every union separately. Every union separately votes on what's the percentage they're gonna get, if they're gonna get extra money, or like we got for education. So that's the stuff, but vacation, how many days, who gets, it's for everyone, not just for one union.
But again, we're an autonomous
And we
agency. We're an
negotiated
autonomous
basically-
agency.
Basically, the city negotiating every time,
The
the
city has nothing to do
policy.
with the.
It's an autonomous agency
negotiations.
legally. I mean, we have an attorney on legally.
He does, it.
le-
They appoint people on board and the board does the negotiation. So
Still, it's an autonomous agency. It's not supposed to just be dictated by the city.
But then, yeah, but so
I'm
then
not-
it's not dictated, it's dictated by what the board says, and this is what we are saying, we would like to look into this.
Yeah.
Huh? Make changes if we see. fit.
I
I don't,
I have a problem with, there are morale issues, and you're taking just vacation from part-timers just doesn't make any sense to me. If they've been getting it and it's not hurting us, I don't see why we're suddenly taking it away. I mean, is there,
can you renegotiate a contract that's already been signed? With the MOA, because it's not
How you can,
ratified.
Well, you asked to vote on it, and you already signed the contract.
no, it's not, contract's not signed.
The
It's a,
memorandum of agreement.
We just changed a little bit from what the other one was, really.
I mean, there was no point in having a negotiating committee if you're just going to ignore it.
So then help me understand, we are library board members, and our job is to vote on whatever recommendations we make, all right? So bottom line is, I agree that you said that this is something that, that you think that the employee should get. So, but if we decide that we think differently, this is why we were put in place, so that we could make different decisions, you know, that you guys may not agree to, but that is why we are here.
I would also think that if you're going to explicitly go against what the director is suggesting, you should have a reason for it.
Well, she just said a reason.
But but we're an autonomous agency. So just saying, you don't have to like what I'm saying. The fact is, it's an autonomous agency. So just saying, well, we should be doing exactly what the city does, it doesn't fly. It's a different, it's,
But if our decision is based on, we believe that we should be following what the city says, the city's policy.
Yeah, we're
Right.
also working with taxpayer dollars.
We are working with taxpayers' dollars and we are saying we would like to follow what the city does. I understand that you guys are different and you do your business
And I'm
differently.
sure taxpayers would be the reason why we do vacation time and part-time.
They've had it since 1960s.
Yes, I
Now
understand, but
now that you're gonna have to go back with the Teamsters, and I don't think that you're ever going to take away what they already had. It's easier to give than it is to take away, from my understanding.
if you start taking away there and expect something in return, I mean, we negotiate in good faith, and now you're just saying, throw everything out and start over again, and we don't want any of it.
We're not saying throw everything off, we just have a specific, area of concern.
And what was the area of concern?
The part-time, we got in the last line and the part-time employees getting what, vacation pay?
They've always gotten vacation.
No.
Yes.
And how did you, isn't this one W we were talking about here?
yes, you're basically adding that there is vacation for the employees, and there is also some other vacation for extra work they do.
No, but what that is saying when you can use it by. Because before,
What are you referring to?
are you under 7 vacations, is that what you're looking at?
We're not running.
Of course, well.
What exactly are you referring to?
Personal days, city employees don't get any part-time employees don't get any vacations, no personal days. And here I see that all the employees, part-time employees getting the personal days.
Well, they get one personal day.
Yeah.
Personal day is different from vacation.
The librarians their last contract, the librarians got a personal day for their workers. So the Teamsters negotiated to get the same thing that the librarians get.
Can I speak at this time? I have some information regarding vacation time with our part-time clerical in City Hall. I checked with our labor attorney. Okay, they do get vacation time, but it's prorated.
Yes,
That's what we do too.
that's what ours is.
Okay. So,
It depends on how many hours they work a year.
right, they don't get a full 8-hour day. If they work 4 hours, they only get it based on a 4-hour day.
Most of the employees, their day is 3.8 hours. So if they're working, most of them work 19 hours per week. So they would get a prorated, I think it's 988 is the amount of hours that they work per year. So that's what it's based on. They have a 19-hour week. So the part-time workers at the city do get vacation, but it's prorated based on their hours, correct?
Correct.
If they over 20 hours.
Is there a change in this for the library?
No, that's not being changed. It was only in the past, to make it easier when it was a bigger staff, the director had asked that all the vacation be taken in 1 week clumps. And then they worked up to being able to break up 1 week into days. And now this is just saying you can break up 2 weeks into days, and it has to be scheduled by October 1st, but you can actually use a couple days after October 1st.
Yeah, a certain amount of time has to be used before October 1st, but it all has to be scheduled by October 1st. Otherwise, I have to schedule it. But this is not new.
The only thing, as far as that goes, that's being new would be the one personal day for the clerical team, because the librarians negotiated in the last contract, and the Teamsters didn't know about it, so we just negotiated the same thing that the librarians got.
Yeah, it's an attempt to treat them all fairly.
definitely have to vote on it today.
My question, do they have to vote on this tonight or can they table this till next meeting so that you have
It's
some
already been
members
tabled
that they
once.
can?
I mean, it was on the agenda for last month and they asked for it to be tabled and it's in the packet again for the second time and I don't really see why it's not being voted on. But if they want to table it, that's board decision if they want to table it again.
Well, you just give me to that, and here, there is holiday. The parties agree to amend Article 12, Section A to add, employees will receive holiday pay after working for 60 calendar days. So,
Yes,
how am I supposed to know what's the Section A? We don't have those information.
the negotiation team, I don't know if it's the same contract, but you've been on the board for a couple of years, it's the same contract. So the only thing with that is it was just a verbiage, making it clearer, because the last contract, it was like fuzzy, so they just wanted that in like black and white, make that clear that it had to be a 60, or actually it wasn't in there where it said you had to wait 60 days. It was just something that everybody knew. So they just wanted to put that in writing. That's all that was. And then the floating holiday, we are giving up one of our 13 holidays. So, and convert it to a floating holiday, so we don't have to close the library that day.
Yes, that seemed like it would be for the go to the library as well as the staff.
Well, we represent the good of the people of Linden. We are not employees of the library, our position here is to represent the good of the people of Linden.
You're actually here to do what's best for the library.
We are listening.
No, you're not. You're not on the council. This is a library board. Your job is to do what's for the best for the library.
And the people of Linden.
No. Your focus is the library.
I listen. As a board member, I know that our job is to make sure the library is run people, but we run properly, but we are also guardians for the people of Linden.
Only in regards to the library.
Yes, so that only in regards to the library. So you have to look at everything that a library does. Agree to some and disagree to others.
Did you have any other questions about changes that we can clarify since I'm here in front of you?
I think it's not important. It's not gonna change anything.
A lot of the things that are in there are just, a lot of it was just changing the wording to make it clearer. Like there's a whole section in there about the vacation.
I know what you're saying, Teresa, but I don't like the situation that we basically, we getting this way presented, and basically, when I'm reading, I'm like, okay, what kind of changes are exactly, what was previously? We don't know, and you want us to agree to it?
Well, that would have been part of the negotiation team.
I mean, the attorney was in these negotiations also. The board president was in these negotiations. This is what we've done in the past where we put the MOU into the packet and you voted on it. Again, I'm going to repeat that this was in the packet last month. It's in the packet this month. If you had questions, you could have asked. You could have requested these contracts be sent to you.
This really has nothing to do with the city. I don't think it does. Has to do with the library. We don't run it like the city.
So the question is, in a situation like this, could this be voted on?
On this particular thing.
Yeah, we would like, would you guys like an opportunity to vote on whether it should stay or be removed? Yours is a no?
That's
Mine.
not really a vote. You have to reopen the negotiations then.
When we reopen and make changes, if we have to.
Somebody needs to make a motion. Is that correct, Mr. McCarthy?
Well, that would be correct to do something, to take certain actions. So the person making a motion, if they're inclined to do so, would have to make a motion, and then with that motion, specify the action they're suggesting the board take.
Can I ask a question? This is Maria Kolish. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you
Sure.
hear me? I'm a little confused. The question is, what's that question? A matter of part-time employees getting one paid part-time day equivalent to less than 5 hours? Is that what's being discussed here?
Yeah, that would be the personal day that's being added. That's the
So-
only change.
As a valued employee,
The vacation days, which they already have.
right, so so this is a personal day. As a valued part-time employee, which already does not receive so many benefits as a part-time, I understand. This discussion is about if that employee should receive a paid personal day. Is that correct? So I'm a little lost here. Anyone? Am I asking the right question, or am I misunderstanding this?
Kowski, is that what your issue was?
Well, personal days, according to the city policy, employee who works less than 20 hours is not entitled to any personal days.
So the comparison is one contract to the other contract? Even though library employees do different jobs? Again, I'm coming to maybe a little bit late, but
At the last meeting, they were saying exactly that whatever the city is getting, that the library employees, they're gonna get the same percentage, and basically, whatever city employees getting, the library
You could say
employees
the
getting.
cities are different, but you're also still getting paid the same rate, so
We don't get paid the same rate.
you said that.
It's
The
whatever the percentage.
Percentage.
If the city workers get a 0.5%, we get a 0.5%. We
They
just
get
did that out of
nothing, if they get
convenience.
nothing, we get nothing. That's,
Yeah, and that was just historically out of convenience, right? So that the library board didn't have to sit through negotiations. They just always agreed to whatever the percentage was.
yeah, the board's always agreed to it, and the unions have always accepted that as fine. Usually they get less than what they've asked for by going on what the city does. Doesn't mean they would have gotten it, but
But we don't know what that percentage is yet.
Not this year, not yet.
there's no percentage in existence yet, so nobody knows. That wouldn't kick in until the city does its contract, whenever that winds up being. Whether it be next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that's when we would get the 2021, 2022, 2023 raises. If there were any.
And we have to make a decision.
I guess if I'm thinking that if it's going to be compared one contract to the other, then everything has to be line by line. I know that library employees work differently than city employees, so that's not my decision, but it seems like all that would have been looked at beforehand. And if it had been decided on, again, I don't know why speaking out of line, but I don't know, like, it seems like there's a lot going on for less than 5 hours for an occasional personal day, which adds value more than the monetary value. If they're working part-time as it is.
I mean, I was pulling the contracts going back into the 1990s that we have here. It's essentially the same, it's the same contract. The only thing,
But, if you vote, you're gonna do roll call.
Well, I believe
Well,
that
then that's what you're gonna do.
we shouldn't run like this. We shouldn't be a place that we supposed to vote on it, and we basically, you just giving me the paperwork and asking me to vote on it.
Upset with that, it seems like you're just having us here to rubber stamp the contract. That's how it should be.
no, the contract's already been negotiated.
I understand.
and signed by the
you all-
negotiation committee.
But you said the negotiations was only the board president was there.
No,
That's what you said.
but the other people
Board
are no
president.
longer on the board.
They're no longer on the board.
Right, but they already did the negotiations before the new board.
So let me just comment a little bit about the negotiation committee, which is a little bit of a piggyback from the conversation earlier in the meeting about other unrelated committees. It's very common, as you know, to have individual committees, A, for efficiency, but B, legally, because we cannot meet with the entire board and have a negotiation with the union, because if we do, that has to be a publicly noticed meeting if we have more than a quorum of board members meet together. So there's not only a practical efficiency reason for the various committees, one of which is the negotiation committee, but there's also a legal reason behind it. If there was any confusion there, I apologize, I didn't speak up sooner.
No, what I'm trying to say, we should be at least, before we can vote on it, to give us the contracts, previous contracts, and tell us that, okay, on the base of this contract, we're gonna negotiate next contract, so we know exactly what are you negotiating. Basically, you have few people that are going to negotiate and then telling everybody on the board to agree to it.
Well, that's not us. I'm just giving information. I have nothing to do with any board, anything.
I'm not saying you, I'm just,
So I'm just saying traditionally, there is a negotiating committee and they do the negotiations and go back to the board. Now, maybe this year there's miscommunication because there was such a change in the board and board members were taken off. So you're looking to, I just want to make sure I have what you're looking for. You wish to have more information from the negotiation committee showing you what they
yes, because
negotiated.
I want to know exactly what are you voting, what I'm supposed to vote on, not just, okay, I agree. Agree to what?
So she feels that she doesn't have enough information to just say yes, going along with it. She would have rather had more of a
Not only,
conversation.
I think everybody else agreed to it. So we should have more information before you can go and vote. Not vote, negotiate. So we can agree, okay, if we know exactly, okay, that's the contract.
Well, actually, I
previous
don't-
contract,
That's,
then, okay. we
Mr.
can read it
McCarthy,
And we know exactly.
I'm just trying to recall. When the board makes a negotiation committee, they're not supposed to go back and negotiate with the other board members. Is that correct? They're supposed to be the team. They're not supposed to be going out and discussing the negotiations in public.
The way generally these committees work is the committees have a role, right? And with regard to the union contract negotiation committee, the negotiation committee negotiates with the union and then presents it to the board for a vote. The negotiation committee can take no legal action to bind the board. That's the board's job to vote. The negotiation committee can make a recommendation, of course, to the board at one of these meetings, at the board meeting, but it's up to the board to vote.
So would it be good for the rest of the board if perhaps Dennis took the contracts and did line by line so you can see whatever changes were being proposed?
We like a PowerPoint presentation or something, right? The president telling us exactly what's in the contract. Oh,
Yeah, I think going line by line would
Yeah,
help
like
a lot of us.
that. So we know what we signed in.
And if most of it is adhering to the old contract.
Yes.
You don't have an old contract.
So this is a.
So if you're saying like the personal day is the only thing added, we don't know that by information that's.
I'm gonna assume, because I know Ms. Copland has always communicated with the rest of the board, and I guess because that was such a change this year, you didn't have the, and then with COVID, didn't have the opportunity to give them all the information, and then with the other board members who left, that's who had the rest of the information. So, Mrs. Copland,
Start to negotiate with somebody else all over again.
Mrs. Copland, would you like me to get all the copies of the contract for you, and this way you and Mr. Purvis can make a presentation and explain to everybody what the changes were that you negotiated? Is that good?
I'm saying, okay, that, I think it's a fine idea.
And do you want this in the board packet? For the next board packet?
My only thing is that I find that sometimes we use the word autonomous, and then we use the word we want to follow what the city does. And sometimes that confuses me, you understand? Because we use it when it benefits us. All right, so one will all be autonomous, and then the next.
That's why I said semi-autonomous, because when you want more money, they want to go to the city with that.
Yes, you use it when it benefits you.
Actually, just historically, it's actually the other way around. We actually, the board, the unions have asked for other money, and it was more than what the city was getting, but we've agreed to take less.
No, I'm talking about the funding for the library in general.
I'm sorry.
The library funding from the city comes from the budget from the city.
From the taxes, yes,
Yes.
it's set by the state.
But what they're saying is we say we're on top, you say you're autonomous in this respect, but when you want more funding from the city, you're not away from the city. That's what they're referring to.
Legally, we're autonomous no matter what. I mean, yes, we have to ask the city for money, but we're still autonomous. It doesn't, if we ask for an extra $100,000, it doesn't mean the city can step in and just take over everything. That's not the law. I mean,
I understand, and I get that you're autonomous. That's why there's a board, but board is installed by the city because they have an interest into what goes on in the library because it is their funds.
Actually, no city workers are supposed to be on the library board. That's,
No, I understand.
yeah. So is there anything else that you would like? Is this, what are you doing? You have to make a motion of somebody has to make a motion of
Well,
some sort.
if you're gonna go line by line, that would be next meeting, right? So I make a motion to table the contract.
All right, we need a second.
hold on. Take notes.
Can I ask a quick question about one of the lines under the hours of work?
You can ask a million questions.
I don't
Should
know,
ask
but
questions.
you're telling me that I won't
No,
ask
you got a
any
question.
questions.
You got a question.
What is the question?
Okay, under 3 hours of work, under the number 1, compensatory time from 120 calendar days to 180 calendar days.
Oh.
So that's a 60-day difference. What is,
If
I'm
they,
not understanding.
if they work overtime, instead of getting paid, they can choose to take time instead. And it's just extending the amount of time they have to actually use the time. So,
Oh, so it's not like they're getting
No.
more
No,
or
no,
anything or
it's-
less.
It's just
if they got an
More
hour,
time.
if they got an hour of comp time, let's say, for example, maybe they had a week to use before, now they have 2 weeks. It's not, those are not the numbers, but that's all it is. It's just
Oh, okay.
extending how long they can use it.
Okay, thank you. I didn't understand all those.
Then she said that we're gonna be voting for members and secretary and stuff like that.
I didn't say that, but she said that.
We're gonna be voting for
I
secretary.
can't hear you.
We will be voting for secretary and different committees. When are we gonna do that?
The committee?
Yeah, it was discussed earlier that you were gonna do it next month.
All right, so we're gonna do it next month. So you're gonna say the positions that we're gonna be voting for, right? Okay.
You have it?
Hold up.
Okay, you have to go together.
No, they want a line by line, so they want to see the new contract versus the new contract, the old contract, so. But you need a vote.
So Teresa, are
Yes,
we
ma'am.
going to get copy of the current old contract
Sure,
and a copy of
absolutely,
what's been negotiated?
absolutely.
Now, I mean, I know we have like the bullets here.
Yes,
but
what I'll do, if that's okay with Dennis, is I'll pull the contracts. So you have copies of the current contract that's in place. And I'll highlight all the changes and then I can make it,
Do you have a PowerPoint presentation that Dennis or whoever made the contract, and we could sit with a copy of the contract? And they
That's
explain
They
it to us.
don't need
I'm-
a
I'm-
PowerPoint.
You don't think that
I think just when they give us the contracts,
I just asked.
and I'll highlight it and then just give
Yeah,
a
that's
description
what we can
of
see.
whatever changes.
Okay,
and
so
how-
this vacation days for part-time staying the same. The only new thing is the personal day.
Yes,
It's more than that.
That's-
No, but I'm just saying, so we can see exactly.
and I know that you guys are new, some of you are new, so that's why Dennis had me write up the list of what part-time means, because I think there was confusion as to what a permanent part-time versus a temporary part-time.
That was helpful.
Different from a permanent full-time, and how that breaks down, and how, I know that Dr. Burhammer was, and I don't disagree that we should be saving money while we're closed, but we've already short-staffed, even with the temporary work, because we were still short-staffed. So that's the only reason why we just have a skeleton crew now, and we're just getting by. So, but that tried to explain what everybody's jobs were and what the terminology was about a part-time and a permanent and a temporary.
That was very helpful, thank you.
How many hours of work is the library? How many hours is the library taking
Right
right now?
now, 40 hours? 40 hours,
40 hours.
yeah.
And we have, as you say, 15 employees,
23.
23 employees.
Did you
Yes,
see?
I did, I
Okay.
did say, 23
Yeah.
employees,
Mhm.
will be working 40 hours Saturday and Saturdays.
No, not Saturdays yet,
Just Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday right now,
From what hour to what hour?
9 to 5.
So we will take city hours, right? And we
It's
still
temporary
short-staffed.
It
for-
won't stay that way.
And we still needed to hire permanent people.
Yes.
It won't stay that way, and yes, we lost 2 full-timers last year, so,
And we were already short-staffed.
yes, even with them, we would be considered short-staffed, and we lost 2 full-timers last year, and we got part-timers instead.
It's not a matter of just manning the circ desk and the reference desk. That's not what runs the library. From the time a book is published, the time it makes it to the shelf, there are a number of steps to get that. There is collection development and weeding and mending and processing and interlibrary loans and overdues. I mean, I know that the list was included in there. It's not just a matter of having a person at the circ desk. There are a lot of other jobs that go on behind the scenes. Database management, virtual programming.
I mean, we have the part-timers who are mostly stationed at the desk, but even they have other duties, so nobody is really considered a desk jockey.
Well, we do have a motion on the table to table this.
Mr. Yamakaitis made a motion to table this until next month. And
We'll need a second.
I second it.
All in favor? Motion carried.
You can get those the annotated contracts as soon as possible, so everyone has plenty of time to look at them.
Okay, I'll get them out by the end of the week. Is that okay? Okay.
Also,
Okay.
please, if you have questions, feel free to ask, okay?
Need a motion for resolution for change of meeting dates.
I make that motion.
Need a second?
I second.
All in favor? Okay, a motion to apply for New Jersey Construction Bond Act.
I make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Okay, RFQs to be sent out for flooring bids.
RFP.
Motion,
Make a motion.
second, all in favor?
Who did the second? Yeah.
I think we simultaneously did the second.
And we need a motion for the RFQs for the Architect for Construction Bond Act.
Explain that again.
A motion of RFQs for Architects for Construction Bond Act.
We need an architect for the construction bond in order to proceed. We need actual plans, so we need to.
Okay, so you need an architect.
Yeah, you agreed the last time, it's gonna have to be a resolution.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Can we get a motion?
yeah, 3 out of 4 of these things you already agreed in theory.
All in favor? Okay. Any new business? Is there any in the public?
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Okay. Member of the public, Diane Wilverding?
When you were talking about the rug, and maybe Mr. Ayers and Mrs. Copland would remember this, they had talked about the company that did the building and the interior, that there were squares that could be removed and replaced with other ones. Whether those squares are around anywhere, I don't know, but do you remember that at all, Bobby, where he said pieces could be replaced if they got really messed up?
We've used them.
Yeah, we've been replacing them.
Oh, okay, so they were around.
Yes, we had them and we used them.
Okay, so the rest of it is pretty stained, because I haven't been inside in so long, so.
Unfortunately, the only thing that worries me is that all the adhesive
Yeah.
is gone and the corners are coming up, and that's gonna be a liability. Just so you know, if you look, especially on the second floor, I think there's even some in here that they're starting to lift.
Yeah, I know, I haven't been there in a while, so inside. And then I was also wondering, I remember, well, now large groups of kids are not allowed inside the building, correct?
Correct.
So I remember they got the security guard because there were problems with some of these kids were, big groups were causing problems, and that's how you got the security guard. But I was wondering why you have the security guard now when it's, 1 or 2 people coming in at a time, because when I went to get a book, the security guard brought it out to me. And I have nothing against security guard at all, because I don't even know who that was, but I just was curious why they're still there when you don't have those big groups in that that cause really bad problems.
Kids were never the only problem we had. We had plenty of problems with adults. We still have problems with adults. I believe I reported the board at one point that we had a patron who refused to wear his mask and actually called the police on us. By the time I got downstairs, he was outside and they said he's calling the police. I said, okay, he's doing us a favor. And police came and said, well, you got to wear a mask. And he left, and he apparently hit a few libraries that day. So I guess he got kicked out of a few libraries later. So yes, we still have issues. And the security guard is also helping with cleaning. He is helping to clean the books. What's the correct word?
Sanitize.
Sanitize. Thank you.
Sterilize,
He
sanitize.
sanitize the books that come in, so he's helping with that. He's helping the maintenance men clean because we have the schedule set up so that people can have 45 minutes and then the 15 minutes in between. So 45, like 9:45 to 10, nobody will be allowed in. That's our time to clean up, try to sanitize all the surfaces, and the security guard, if he's not doing anything, he's also helping the maintenance guys with that.
Now, wouldn't that be a conflict with the union? Because that would be, again, doing what the janitors do, and that's really not in the job description of a security person.
Right now, people are being very understanding because we have such an unusual situation with COVID.
Also, we got funding from the CARES Act for the extra security. That was part of the grant that we're getting from the county. The security was via the city, the CARES Act. So we submitting our what was qualified under the CARES Act for the security is being covered.
So a lot of the security expenses for last year did get reimbursed.
Oh, also we had, somebody stole, like we have a chair outside,
Oh, yeah.
and while we were open,
Ugh.
somebody just came and stole the chair, like right on camera. We couldn't get the
We couldn't.
license plate, but it was just stolen. broad
So you
daylight.
saw someone put it in the car, in their car?
On the cameras.
Wow. Unbelievable. Wow.
The guard was doing something else and he went back to, and you could see it very clearly. The person got out of his car, looked around, picked up the chair, brought it back to his car, put it in the trunk and drove off. And we were hoping he was gonna come back with another chair since he was so brazen, but he didn't.
So you couldn't see the face of the person? They weren't close enough to the camera?
No, we couldn't see the face. We couldn't make out the license plate. Obviously, it was not distinct enough. So,
Hmm.
and we did show it to the police, but there was nothing they could do. Yeah, they took the chair.
Okay, that answered my questions.
Anyone else? No?
Doesn't sound like it.
We need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Who was the second? Who was the second? Oh, thank you.
All right, no, sorry to take you longer.
I can end the meeting?
Yes.
Don't forget your tank.
No.